All right, and for a Sunday video for your viewing, or maybe not viewing, but listening pleasure, I don't think I'd want to stare at this ugly mug if I were you either. But you might want to listen because I do inform people of some interesting things. So, want to specifically talk about silver. Friday closing, silver up 42 cents out of nowhere. Here it was in the mid 1800s, 1850, actually 1800s, $18, mid $18, 1850 something, may have been the low, or 40 something possibly, then jump back up a little bit. So it's gone past that. It's up to 1953 now. We're going to be touching $20 again in the near future. Gold rebounded at almost $10. This is right after options expiration. I know we saw $5 billion dump of gold, I think on Thursday or Wednesday, after the 1.5 billion, whatever it was, dump. That did cause precious metals to dump down price wise. But the $5 billion dump didn't hardly budge gold. It moved like $5. That was it. Down $5, which is incredible to me. But I got a couple little stories to read you from Silver Doctors, and you can click on this link here. On this first one, I'm going to read you. I'm going to leave the link to this particular story because it's got a 30-minute video on it with David Morgan on there. He's a old-time metals guru for sure. And the title of the video, though, is "The Secretary Had Never Seen Real Physical Silver Before." David Morgan. He'll talk about what that means in a second, but he says, with a trend change in gold and silver prices underway as of Friday, expert analyst David Morgan joined the show discussing, says Morgan and Dubin explain why it's going to be explosive in the fourth quarter of this year with regards to precious metals. Gigantic tidal wave of managed money is beginning to sniff around gold and silver. Why Morgan thinks this is going to be the longest and most bullish move in precious metals history. And we've finally turned. Once the run to gold begins, there's no fever like gold fever. And the secretary had never seen real silver before. Risks of unallocated or rehypothecated storage versus offshore allocated and segregated bullion storage in Cayman Islands. So what he's referring to is when you have your gold stored somewhere, warehouse receipt, risk of unallocated or rehypothecated, meaning it's been lent out, sold off, whatever, and you just have a paper receipt that says you own some. And upon you bringing that receipt in and saying, I want my physical now, you better hope that they have it. And what he's saying is that the secretary there at that facility has never seen the physical metal. Ever. So what does that mean? That means it ain't there. It never was there. Except for the time you dropped it off. But then again, you may not have even dropped it off. You may have went online, bought some from some entity. Oh, and we will immediately store it in such and such facility. Here's your receipt. You own it forever. Okay. So you never saw the gold transferred to there. You certainly didn't hand it there. And if you did, it would have been rehypothecated out immediately anyways. And then he says, the last final point is new buyers. There are new buyers. This is a major concern for the silver shorts. A lot of new buyers. So this particular well, hold on. He's got a little more on this. Doc's gold and silver market update. After slow retail gold demand for most of the month, the gold bullion sales were strong across the industry this week as gold prices dipped as low as $13.02. SD Bullion saw an inventory of over 800 gold Krugerrands evaporate in under 24 hours. In addition, one of the largest authorized mint purchasers sold out of the 2016 1-ounce gold maples. The U.S. Mint sold 5,000 1-ounce gold eagles, bringing year-to-date sales to 605,000 ounces. For silver, strong demand returned in the retail silver market this week as silver spot prices dipped to nearly $18.50 an ounce before jumping back over $19.30 Friday. Again, that's when he wrote this, but it's 1953. Wholesale premiums on 90% junk silver coins jumped another 20 cents this week, confirming a trend change in wholesale 90% silver premiums after 6 months of rising supplies and softening premiums. As 90% is a leading indicator of physical silver supplies and premiums, this rise in 90% premiums, while not anything to get excited about yet, is a trend change, and as such worth noting, particularly as the market enters the strong fall season. Excuse me. 2016 Silver Eagle sales, reported by the U.S. Mint, came in at 410,000 coins this week, a slight decline from last week's 630,000 number, but still significantly up from 150,000 coins a week sold through most of July and August. That is a big jump. This brings the year-to-date Silver Eagle sales numbers to 29 million plus ounces. And we still have, 3 months? Well, September to October, October, November, November, December, December to January. We technically have about 4 months. So, again, I've said it every year for the last few years. Every single year seems to break records with silver sales. So, is this year going to be any different? I don't believe so at all, especially with all the crap we keep hearing about these banks and all these problems coming. So then there's another article from them. Economist warns physical precious metals markets may freeze up in a buying frenzy. 5,000 gold is a conservative estimate. Max Slavo writes for them. Economist David Morgan of the Morgan Report is one of the world's best known silver investors. In the following interview with Future Money Trends, Morgan discusses his personal experiences during the last major run-up in gold, when it hit a price of $850 in early 1980. As Morgan describes it, there was significant panic buying during that time period. And should central banks and governments continue on their current course, we'll see a similar endgame play out this time around. What's good for gold is the end of the empire, and we've got governments that are failing. When these bond markets blow up further, that's when you're going to see a run to gold that we've already seen. Wait until the physical market freezes up, which could happen. I'm not saying it would happen, but it could. With the worldwide demand and a failing currency across the world, where do you think people are going to go? They're going to go to precious metals, which have been trusted for thousands of years. If that were to occur, and I think it could happen, could you imagine the amount of money sitting on the sidelines in a panic mode that would go into the mining shares? It's incredible. I saw it once. I saw what happened with gold and silver when it was a panic to buy. My commodities broker was a woman. She worked for Dean Witter. She was very savvy. She would leave her office at lunchtime and go and buy gold at the local coin dealer. Then after she closed her office, she would stand outside her front door and sell gold coins to people who were lined up. Believe it or not. That's the kind of frenzy you get at the top of the gold market. So he has an interview there as well. I think I'll link both of these videos for you. So if you want to listen to them, have at it. But that's basically the summary, the short end of it, if you will. And just think about this. If only a tiny, like 0.5%, 1% of the world population, all countries, 1% total, decide, I don't like what I'm seeing, I'm going to buy some precious metals. Do you know how devastating that would be? Now, you might say, well, what if the 1% is the people that are starving to death and, fighting for food as it is? Well, clearly they're not going to be going and buying precious metals. They don't have the money. 1% of people who have some kind of money go after gold and silver. It would be absolutely devastating on those markets. The Webbot said you are going to see, when the stuff starts going down, you are going to see a panic to own metals, precious metals. A panic to own, to buy, to get them. Frenzy, all these words. And the Webot has been talking about precious metals as well as the death of the dollar for years. One of the first times I ever heard about the dollar dying, death of the dollar, any of that thing was through the Webot many years ago. And here we are today, where country after country is trying to find a way to not. First of all, China used to be the largest front person at the door. Knock, knock. I want some of those U.S. treasuries. We'll take the lion's share. Second in line, Japan. Knock, knock, knock. And believe it, up until not even fairly recent, a few years ago, the Federal Reserve was third in line. Now that's probably mind-boggling. Our Federal Reserve is the one that prints the money, correct? And it's third in line to buy the bonds, the same bonds that are used, that cause those dollars to be printed into the circulation. Yes, we print the treasuries, sell the treasuries for that exact amount that the bond was for, or that we got the bonds for a certain amount of money, the bond being treasuries. We had to print or borrow that exact amount into existence, but we have to borrow it, right? So we have to sell those bonds, treasury bonds. And the person that's printing the money is buying the bonds too? Yeah, third in line. However, as of a few years ago, like maybe 3 years ago, the Federal Reserve is now number one. Long gone are China and Japan. I mean, there's still a few purchases here and there, but nothing even remotely close to what it used to be. The Federal Reserve is the number one buyer of all, practically, of those bonds. So if a dollar was dying, that would be a thermometer, so to speak, to watch for. And that has already happened as of at least 3 years ago. And it continues to this day. So the Webbot is getting that one right. But as that trend for the dollar death continues, precious metals, good trend in my eyes, is going to come up. Which is why you're going to look back, and I've said it before, you're going to look at even one day, you're going to look back and say, man, in 2011, when they ran up gold in 1900 and silver was almost $50, and then it crashed, and had all that damn time to get more, and I waited and didn't because I thought they had all that control, they would just continue doing it. And boy, was I wrong, because it blew past 50. It's today it's $150 an ounce. Damn it. And then there's going to be the other people like me who said, well, when it was $43, I bought 25 ounces. Not a lot. And most of my purchases aren't 25 ounces. I try to get like a 100-ounce, purchase at a time, or if I'm real lucky, a couple 100 ounces. But those days are far and few. Or days, more like years. But anyways, you're going to look back and say $50 silver. Me too. $25 and 25 ounces at $43. Oh, that was kind of painful. But then again, I got a couple 100 ounces at $10, 2009. That's not nearly as painful. That offsets the pain. I feel good. However, if you bought all of your precious metals in the 40s, and you've been sitting this whole time, I know it's painful. I know. But just stand by. Just wait. Just keep waiting. There's no hurry. There's no hurry for this, because when this happens, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. It's going to be more than just a lifetime. We have thousands of years of gold and silver being money. We have a very small amount of time of this paper fiat currency thing. And if you want to know the absolute truth, our currency was backed by gold up until 1971. 71, 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're talking 45 years. Lifespan, on average, of paper unbacked currency, 39, 40 years. So the club has extended our average this time around, because it's never the same, but this time around they've extended the average just a hair. We're up to 45 years. What if it's 50 years? Does it matter? No. Why? Because the end game is the same. Precious metals are going to shine big time. Take care.